Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is Ali Soufan, who's a former FBI special agent who now heads his own consultancy group, the Soufan Group. He joins us via satellite from New York. Welcome to the France 24 interview.
Thank you for having me.
So the reason why we're having you is because you have an interesting journey through the FBI. You're probably one of the officials who came closest to unravel the 9/11 attacks. You recount this in a fascinating book called The Black Banners, The Inside Story of 9/11 and the War Against Al-Qaeda. You're also one of the most knowledgeable experts on Yemen. Yemen today is arguably, with Pakistan, the best haven for Al-Qaeda. It's been a country in turmoil, political turmoil, but one of the challenges it is facing is the role of Al-Qaeda in the Arab Peninsula, the local offshoot of Al-Qaeda, which has taken control of some areas in the south of the country. It is fighting government troops. It is enduring an escalating campaign of U.S. drone strikes, and it is also hatching plots against the U.S. We recently learned that the U.S. and the Saudi intelligence had disrupted a plot where an operative would sew explosive in his underwear and try to blow a U.S.-bound airplane. The plot was disrupted when we learned that the operative was actually infiltrated by the intelligence of Saudi Arabia and was able to make sure the plot did not unfold as planned. Mr. Soufan, how worrying is Yemen in the terms of Al-Qaeda's implantation and its efforts to hit the U.S.?
Al-Qaeda in Yemen is probably the most dangerous branch of Al-Qaeda. The group was established because of the defeat of Al-Qaeda in Saudi Arabia. Many of the operatives from Saudi Arabia actually went down to Yemen, joined with the branch in Yemen, establishing the organization that you just mentioned, Al-Qaeda and the Arabian Peninsula. Al-Qaeda and the Arabian Peninsula is the closest version you can get to Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda. They still have the same ideology of Osama bin Laden. Their title and their motto for jihad is to expel the infidels from the Arabian Peninsula, the same title that Osama bin Laden declared in 1996. Also, at the same time, Al-Qaeda and the Arabian Peninsula, the members, the leadership are all members of Al-Qaeda who were actually in Afghanistan, who trained in Qaeda's training camp in Afghanistan, who knew personally Osama bin Laden. The leader of Al-Qaeda and the Arabian Peninsula, Nasser Louhaishi, for example, used to be the secretary for Osama bin Laden. Many operatives, high-level operatives in the group, were involved in the attacks on the USS Cole, in the attacks against the Limburg, the French oil tanker, in the attack against plots against embassies and Western targets in the country. So as an entity, this is probably the most dangerous group of the different Qaeda branches that exist today.
What can you tell us about the recent sting operation led by the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, which led to this plot not happening?
Well, this intelligence operation is brilliant in every way, shape, or form. You know, you have an infiltration, a human source in place. This is the best that you can get in intelligence operation, and there's no one that can give you the level of intelligence, the value of the intelligence that you're getting than human source in place in a terrorist organization or in any group. So this is really an amazing operation. However, we should not be surprised in any way that Al-Qaeda was, especially Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, AQAP, was trying to carry out an attack against the United States or against aircraft carriers, against the United States or against the airlines. For example, they attempted to send Abdul Muttalib, if you remember, the first underwear bomber, about 2 years ago to the United States, and he failed in carrying out his operation. Also, they were involved in the printer bomb plots, if you remember, and that also failed. So they have been focused on conducting attacks against the United States.
Also, it seems that the informant, who is apparently now in Saudi Arabia because the story was leaked to the press, also gave crucial information that led to May 6th U.S. drone strikes, deadly drone strike against a man by the name of Mohammed Ahmed al-Kuso, who had a $5 million bounty on his head for his alleged role in the USS Cole bombing back in 2000. It's actually a man you knew quite well.
Sure, Fahd al-Kuso is a member of Al-Qaeda. We arrested him in the immediate aftermath of the USS Cole attack. He provided significant amount of information about his links to the attack, his links to Al-Qaeda, his links to Osama bin Laden. And al-Kuso has been one of the leaders of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. Now, this intelligence operation, there's a lot of things that have been, leaked. There's a lot of things about it that has been, widely publicized in the media. We don't know the exact details of what led to what and to whom. However, we know that it was a very successful intelligence operation, and we know that the attack against Fahd al-Kuso is an attack that was not only successful in getting rid of an individual with American blood on his hands, but also it was successful in getting rid of one of the emerging leaders who have been plotting to kill innocent civilians around the world.
He's also a man who gave you information because you were sent because of your language skills to Yemen 10 years ago, information that could have led maybe to preventing 9/11 from happening, and which you explained and complained about.
We've mentioned a lot of these things in the book, The Black Banners, but also the 9/11 Commission talked about this issue in details. And yes, when we interrogated him in connection to the USS Cole, he gave us some significant information about his role and the role of a person who became one of the suicide bomber of the USS Cole in delivering money to a summit in Southeast Asia. Later, after 9/11, we knew that that summit was actually a planning summit for the attacks on the United States on 9/11. And we talk about all the details in the book.
Absolutely. I want to get back to Yemen. Do you think the U.S., and including you, complained a lot that Ali Abdullah Saleh, the former president, was not always cooperative in the fight against terrorism? Do you think there has been a shift with the new president, Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi, who has welcomed maybe more U.S. involvement, and we're seeing more and more drone strikes? I mean, 2 a day, according to a Yemeni government official, which is huge.
Well, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is definitely a #1 enemy for the new president and for Yemen. The president, I think about 2 weeks ago, mentioned in a speech that the battle against Al-Qaeda did not actually begin yet, and he promised to continue the battle until finishing off the group from Yemen. So far, Al-Qaeda has been attacking the Yemeni army. They have been attacking the Yemeni law enforcement. They have been killing innocent civilians, conducting terrorist attacks in Yemen. So I think the Yemeni government, and especially the new president, realize how dangerous that group is, not only on the stability of Yemen, but the stability of the wider region, to include Saudi Arabia. Remember, the #2 individual in Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, Al-Shahri, is Saudi. The bomb maker, Ibrahim al-Asiri, that we've been hearing a lot about him in the news recently, is also Saudi. And he recruited his own brother, Abdullah, to assassinate, in the attempt to assassinate Prince Mohammed bin Nayef, who had the counterterrorism efforts in Saudi Arabia. So there's a lot of stakes for many people in the region, many countries in the region, that they wanted to see the Yemeni president succeeding, and they wanted to see Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula defeated.
But are you comfortable with the U.S. Doing more and more of those drone strikes, the CIA asking even for more leeway to conduct them? It was even there where for the first time a U.S. citizen was killed by a drone strike, Anwar al-Awlaki, several months ago. Are you comfortable? You complained several years ago about some of the tough methods used by the CIA. Do you think the U.S. is doing the right things?
Well, I think you cannot compare the torture issue with the drone. I mean, we are in the middle of a battle against Al-Qaeda. Sometimes the enemy is far away in areas that cannot be reached by law enforcement or by the military. As you see, Al-Qaeda has been killing scores of Yemeni soldiers. As you mentioned in your introduction, they control large territories in south of Yemen. And when you know that there are few individuals meeting together and planning to attack innocent civilians somewhere, I think the best choice is to take them out. However, we have to be very careful with using drones. It has to be very precise. And because if you kill innocent civilian, then you will be shooting yourself in the foot.
Just the last question. If you had to choose between the Afghan-Pakistani border and Yemen, where do you think the biggest danger is in terms of terrorist attacks locally and globally?
Well, I think if we want to look at about Al-Qaeda itself, I think I look into Yemen more than I look into the area in Pakistan, even though the leader of Al-Qaeda today, Ayman al-Zawahiri, is reported to be based in the tribal areas of Pakistan. But there are also other areas that's of significant concerns. For example, north of Mali, the area of As-Sahel. Recently, we saw groups affiliated with Al-Qaeda and Qaeda franchise, Al-Qaeda and the Islamic Maghreb, involved in the battles in north of Mali. And now we have a significant amount of territories under their control on the borders with Algeria, Mali, Algeria and Niger, Algeria and Mauritania. So there is a lot of danger over there. We see connections between them and between Boko Haram in Nigeria. I think the situation over there is also very concerning, and it is as concerning as Yemen and as Pakistan. However, the context of the threat maybe is different in the Sahel area than in Yemen, than in the Afghani-Pakistani border.
Thank you very much, Ali Soufan, for your time, and stay tuned here on France 24 for more news.
Thank you.